Okay, time for this week's example of creative problem solving in action. And again, we're looking at Bionics as the method that's been used. The problem we had, brought by one of our members, was how can we provide our clients with something extra that pulls in market share? Broad definition of an issue. And what we then did, before leaping in generating ideas, of course, we spent some time exploring the problem using the trusted technique of boundary examination, which explores each of the keywords from various angles to give the problem owner a choice of precisely how they want to then redefine the problem. And the redefinition was, in what way might R&D identify new ways to drive a flood of interest in the product? A much richer definition of the product with a much sharper definition at the heart of it, obviously focusing on R&D, and the flood of interest is quite an emotive expression that will hopefully get the juices going. Technique is Bionics, so what we're looking for here is an understanding of the key components of the problem, expressed initially in very abstract terms, and then we look for examples in nature where those various components have been combined to address whatever the issue might be. So in fairly abstract terms, as I say, what we looked at here was that effectively there's a transformation process going on where you start off with nothing much happening, and there's some sort of intervention that converts that to lots happening. So you've got a key transformation process that goes from nothing much happening to lots happening. We've got to find examples in nature where that happens. One of the examples that was identified during the brainstorming session was plants, plant life more generally. One imagines maybe a barren desert, if you like, where nothing much appears to be going on. If you imagine David Attenborough skulking around somewhere looking for some forms of life but not being able to find anything. Then comes a rainstorm of one form or another, a torrential downpour lasting maybe a relatively short period of time, but as things start to dry up, David is in heaven again because there's a massive teeming life that starts to emerge as a result of that, and we convert the barren wasteland into a verdant oasis of life in one form or another. So what we then need to think about is how that works in reality. We need to find a way of transforming that back into the organizational issue. We started looking at maybe taking the current situation without a flood of interest in the product, and there's a storm of activity that generates a whole range of interest. That maybe then dies down over time, but then maybe there's another flood in one form or another, another storm of activity that generates the interest on a periodic basis. So in essence, what we're looking at here is maybe a periodic blitz of creativity where the team gets together and focuses around the product, generates an intense period of idea generation with lots of thoughts spinning off. That's then followed by a period of reflection prior to incorporating whatever components seem to be best suited to the product. That then goes back to the customer, so there's a periodic blitz of innovation around the product, which hopefully then generates the flood of interest, which inevitably will then die down over time. So what we then have to do is repeat it. So you've got this kind of cyclical thought process going on as part of the innovation process. So blitzes of activity followed by periods of quiet and reflection, generating interest, and then repeat at will. Just an interesting approach again.